Hey everyone, and welcome back to the .NET Framework tutorial in C#. In this video I'm going to show you what arrays are and because it somewhat fits in the context, some more about strings. The difference between a normal variable and an array variable is, simply put, that while a normal variable can only store one value at a time, an array variable can store multiple values. For example, if you have an integer variable x and declare it as an array with a size of 3, it can hold 3 integer values in total. Each of those 3 fields in the array has an index, and we need that index to set or to get the value of that field. In C#, the index starts at 0, which can be a bit confusing at first, but you'll get used to that pretty quickly, and As in the last video, I've also created a little picture again to help you. That's not it, that is it. So imagine this whole thing here is our array variable of type integer. There we have our indexes, so 0, 1, 2, 3, and so on. And each of these fields now can contain one integer value. So this one could be 13, this one could be 800, and so on. Okay, so let's get back into our project and declare an array variable, sorry, of type integer. We do that by typing int, then square brackets. Those indicate that it's an array and not simply an integer. Give it a name, equals new int, square brackets again. So don't worry about that new keyword right now. We'll get to that once we dive into object-oriented programming. I will explain what that is. Those squared brackets back here, they're needed to declare the size of the array. So let's say we want an array of size 5. So with 5 fields, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So indexes 0 to 4. We would do that like that. And now we can give it some values. So assign the first field the value 5, the second field so 9, third field is 2, and so on. Don't need to fill anything, but yeah, that's enough. Console.writeLine. We can print it. For example, we want the value of the second field. We would print x at index 1. Run that, and you see it outputs a 9. So, as with normal variables, you can declare the values at the declaration. So we wouldn't need that, and just say it has the values 1, 7, 18, and 3. And since we do that, we omit the size in here. So depending on how many values you enter in those curly brackets, the size adjusts. So in our case, it's an array of size 4. Again, we can print that out. Should get a 7 exactly. Okay, so this was the first part. What we've used just now is called a one-dimensional array, but there are arrays with more than one dimension available as well. So I've got another picture to show you, just this one. Imagine those rows right here as our first dimension. Those columns over here, they are our second. Of course, we need another index to address the fields now, because we have to, let's call them coordinates. So the first number in our index tells us the row of the field, and the second one tells us the column. For example, this field over here would have the index 3 and 5. Alright, So let's do that as well. Int, then square brackets again, to indicate that there's a second dimension. We simply put a comma right here. The more commas you put in there, the more dimensions it has. But yeah, let's stick to 2 dimensions for now. Again, new int. Now, this time we need to give it 2 sizes, say 10 rows, 20 columns, and assign it some values. Of course, we need both coordinates now. Give it the value 5, and also down here we need to give it 2 coordinates. And now at 3 and 5 we have the value 5, which would be in here. Okay. Now that we've covered arrays in general, there is something I want to tell you about strings that I thought was interesting the first time I learned about it. To begin, I want to show you another data type, which is called character. To declare one, simply type char or char or whatever, C, and assign it a value. Keep in mind that you need single quotes to assign our character variable a value, because if you try to assign it a value in double quotes, it would think that this over here is a string, this is a character. So yeah, you would try to assign a string value to a character data type variable. So yeah, use single quotes, and now this has the value a. Okay, now imagine you had an array of characters, like with 5 fields, one-dimensional array of size 5. You could store 5 characters in there. Now you could build whole words with that, right? And that's where strings come in. I'm not trying to say that strings are character arrays, because internally in the C# source code they're not, but they work very similar as if they were, which gives us some nice options for working with strings. So we can use strings like one-dimensional arrays to, for example, print a single character in our string. Let's say we have a string variable called text again, give it the value hello, and now we would only want the third letter, which is our text at index 2, hit F5, and there we have our L. Okay. The reason why this is nice will become more clear eventually once we have worked with loops and string operations. However, keep in mind that you may only read those single characters from a string. You may not change a single character of a string like that. There are ways to do that, but yeah, I'll show you them in a video in the future when we get to manipulating strings. Okay, that is basically everything I wanted to show you about arrays for now. If there is anything unclear or something, feel free to ask and I'll gladly explain it, or yeah, whatever is necessary. Thank you for watching and see you in the next video.